Hello, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Kwon retained law firm in South Korea before Terra's collapse, report says. Interesting turn of events here. I will get into the article in a moment, but I think you get the gist of what it's about just from listening to the title, right? But this really does pose the question. He sent $7 million to a local law firm before Terra's collapse. So this clearly indicates that he knew Terra was going to collapse, right? Some may even ask the question, did he send the money to the law firm because he knew that he was going to pull money out of Terra and rug pull everyone? Is that a possible intention? Now, whatever the intent, whether he was preparing knowing that Terra was going to collapse, or if he was intending to collapse Terra himself by doing a massive liquidity withdrawal. Neither one is good, right? But one is, I would say, a lot worse than the other. So, I'm just going to give the benefit of doubt here. I would think that this wasn't a thing where he intended to collapse Terra. I don't think that was the intention, but I do think it looks quite evident to me that he was aware that this was going to happen. It looks to me like the ship was sinking and he was trying to tell everyone that everything's fine. Similar to Sam Bankman-Fried when the FTX scandal first broke out. And so I'm not saying that really paints him in much of a better light, but it's better than him knowingly and intentionally just defrauding people. But he clearly didn't give notice when he saw that there was a problem. He just continued on like everything was fine and watched it all happen, which is still not good because we know how that ended up playing out and we know how that affected a lot of investors, right? So my first things first about this is that this clearly doesn't paint Kwon in a good light. It shows that he wasn't handling this in the best of ways and that he knew very well that this was going to end up with him having a legal battle. Because the amount of money that he sent, why would you send that kind of money to a law firm unless you knew you was going to have a potential big legal battle on your hands, right? And yes, maybe for a little while he was getting around kind of being a fugitive, but I think he knew it was more than likely that he would get caught eventually, which is why he had the law firm on retainer, okay? So again, more negative news in terms of Kwon clearly shows that he's not the mogul that he made himself out to be. And it just shows that he's really not the best of people when it comes to the crypto space. So let's just get into the article then. So the subheading here says, South Korean prosecutors confirmed a report that Kwon sent $7 million to a local law firm in the months leading up to his venture's dramatic fall. So, Kwon sent funds to a South Korean law firm just before the collapse of Terraform Labs, the crypto platform he founded, according to a Bloomberg report, citing prosecutors in the country. South Korea's KBS News reported that Kwon sent 9 billion won, which is $7 million, to law firm Kim & Chang, which included a payment just ahead of the collapse of the Terra ecosystem in May 2022. South Korean prosecutors said that the report, quote, isn't false, unquote, in a Monday text message to Bloomberg. Kim & Chang told Bloomberg that the law firm was, quote, unable to provide specifics on individual cases, unquote. Quote, we have conducted our legal advisory services as usual and have legitimately received the fee for the services, unquote, the firm told Bloomberg. The South Korean prosecutor's office, Kim & Chang, didn't immediately respond to CoinDesk's request for comment. So just to quickly go back to the part where they say they've conducted their advisory service and have legitimately received the fee for their services, you know what that is, right? That's them just trying to cover their backs and say, hey, you know, we're not the ones who've received dodgy money. Don't try and take that money from us. The money that we received is all legit. How would they really even know if it was legit, right? They're just getting the money from him. So what does that guarantee as to where the money has come from? You know, it's probably likely that it come from him pulling money out of Terra Luna. So, you know, it clearly is them just trying to save their own backs there in regards to that. I don't think that really clarifies anything, but you can clearly see how they're saying that they can't comment on specific cases. They're clearly just trying to keep their mouths closed to avoid any kind of implications here and any kind of danger. So again, it just shows this is more, law tactics, don't say anything, be quiet, don't say anything that might get you into trouble or anything like that. Just kind of tells you exactly everything you need to know. So again, as I say, just going into this, it says that they were sending money months before the collapse, and then another payment not long before the actual collapse. So if this was months, is this a thing where Do Kwon knew this months ahead of time that this was coming? Or was he just thinking, I'm just going to do a massive rug pull on everyone? I don't know, but it doesn't look good, right? And again, even if it wasn't him intending to do a rug pull, he clearly had some kind of foresight that this was about to happen. He could see the writing on the wall and he was getting prepared. He was getting everything in order legally to protect himself. So whatever the reason, this doesn't look good. Yes, one answer is more sinister than the other, but both answers are not good realistically. And so it's good that Do Kwon has been detained, I think rightfully so, and he does need to have his day in court. Now, there's just one other thing I just want to quickly show you from another article, because this is just one thing I don't really like from what I've seen. So, Do Kwon lawyers reportedly dismiss SEC securities fraud allegation. I'm not going to get into this whole article. There's just one thing that I just want to point out here that they've done. Here, so on April 21st, Do Kwon's lawyers asked the judge to dismiss the SEC lawsuit claiming that the regulator's acquisitions were unfounded. While requesting to dismiss the lawsuit, Kwon's lawyers asserted that the US law prohibits regulators, quote, from using federal securities law to assert jurisdiction over the digital assets in this space, unquote, reported Bloomberg. So that one thing there, that is what I don't like, right? Because this is where it's a little bit conflicting. I don't agree with the SEC's overreach in what they're doing here. I do think it is an overreach. I do think it's an abuse of power, and I don't think it's right. However, this is where I'm a little conflicted in this sense, because it feels like Do Kwon is trying to use a loophole here to try and get away with what happened. And so this is where it's a bit of a tricky double-edged sword, because he is right in regards to the SEC overreaching with the power that they're trying to have over the crypto space. But if this means that Do Kwon gets off, it does necessarily mean that if the SEC are overreaching, then they don't have the power to charge Do Kwon. But that means that Do Kwon gets away potentially scot-free, right? And so it's a very, it's a very conflicting situation there. So I do understand where they're coming from, and it is a good legal point that they are making, because we've seen that Gary got grilled recently in regards to the overreach that he's doing by Congress. But I don't think he should just get away on a technicality here. I think he, realistically does need to be tried. But maybe it's a thing where if he gets off by this, and then the right company, like for example, maybe the CFTC, get the power to deal with crypto, maybe they will try and put a charge against him. I don't know. But I wouldn't like to see him get off on just a legal loophole, because I don't think that's fair, especially seeing the damage that was done to investors off of the back of this. So that's just a quick update there you go in regards to Do Kwon. Does look like there was, at least knowledge that he knew this was going to happen. Potentially, at the worst, he actually was intending to cause the issue, and just got himself ready and lawyered up for preparation for this. Not the best. But what do you guys think? Do you still think Do Kwon's innocent? Do you agree with this? Would you think that Do Kwon should get off on the technicality that the SEC are overreaching here? Let me know your thoughts, guys. I'd be interested to hear. Thank you very much for watching this. If you did like it, please remember to drop a comment, like, and subscribe. But until next time, take care.